Okay, what else on my mind? Crypto, obviously. Crypto's always on my mind. It's been doing phenomenally well based on liquidity. Bottomed exactly as we saw global M2 turning. That was my signal into that hellhole of June when Luna collapsed, and then the second hellhole of the FTX collapse, which ETH didn't take out the low. It bottomed in June, but Bitcoin and others bottomed in the October period, which I tweeted out about and talked about on Real Vision, which I thought was the low of the market. October is the bear market killer, and it seemed to have done its job this time around too. So I'm very positive overall. I'm positive on crypto, been positive on crypto all year. I was buying in June, I bought in October, I bought in January. And just looking down the list of how assets have performed this year, Bitcoin's up 80%, ETH up 75%, Solana up 156%, which was one of my key smaller bets. And then other markets that have done particularly well, carbon, which is another one of my bets, is up about 12%. And if I look at equity markets, S&P's up 8, NASDAQ is up 20, making to my point, my exponential age basket of more kind of growth end technology is up about 33%. So you can see the markets are already bifurcating. This is exactly what happened in 2019 after the Fed pivot in 2018. The Fed are going to pause very soon, or have paused. I think they probably pause, or should certainly pause. And we'll see this continued acceleration until liquidity slows down at some point. And then we'll have pauses in the market. We may even have pullbacks if liquidity comes back somewhat, which I don't really see. And then we'll see acceleration as we start hitting the recession and the unemployment side of the equation, which comes later when the real money printing and rate cutting really starts. So that's crypto overall. Crypto regulations, we've seen Gary Gensler today, total shit show, being questioned about is ETH a security, all of this stuff, refuses to say anything. You know, I think the questions asked were pretty right, is why can you not give guidance to people? Do you want to drive away innovation from the United States? And that is what I've been talking about for a while. I've talked about on Daily Briefing, I've talked about on Real Vision, I've talked about on Twitter, is I think the UK is almost uniquely positioned to take a lot of the crypto businesses. We saw Brian Armstrong from Coinbase over in the UK talking to the government, and that is not the only organization that's been over there. And you see, we've seen this before. England has one great trick. It has a incredible financial system, democracy, and they speak the English language, and they have great trade linkages with the entire world. So when the US stumbles, particularly in financial markets, the UK picks up the slack and does something called regulatory arbitrage. It happened really predominantly first when the US came off the gold standard and had capital controls, because they wanted to limit the flow of dollars in this new world. The foreign exchange markets became the new market in town, because before that everything was pegged to gold. And the UK captured that market, became the largest market the world had ever seen. Then the next phase was the US restricted bank lending, or lending to foreign counterparts. And the UK picked that up and developed something called the Eurodollar market, which you've heard from everybody from Jeff Snyder to myself talking about. The Eurodollar market is the offshore lending of dollars. It is the largest lending market on earth and is gigantic. Yeah, hundreds of trillions of dollars. The FX market trades trillions of dollars every day. And then after that came another little trick from the UK, which was they saw that the US bank regs didn't allow for the use of capital in derivatives in an efficient way, so it was impossible for US banks to get involved in derivative markets. So the UK changed their banking rules. And they changed their banking rules over something called Big Bang. The Europeans followed suit, and the entire derivative market outside of the futures market, so we're talking about the really big markets, the swaps, the OTC markets, all went to the UK, where the UK became the epicenter of everything. All the US banks at this stage, over the 90s and 2000s, after Big Bang, which was the deregulation of the banking industry in the UK, everybody moved to the UK to set up business. So Goldman's main office, London. JP Morgan's main office, London. Morgan Stanley's main office, London. Merrill's main office, London. Credit Suisse, London. SocGen, London. Paribas, London. HSBC, London. Everybody went to London because that was the center of the global financial markets. That changed after Brexit and changed after the Basel III agreements on regulatory use of capital within the banking system. But here we are again. There's a $1 trillion industry called crypto. It has been $3 trillion at peak. This is not a small industry, and most people project it to grow to, let's say, 10 trillion would be gold. Now, gold is based in London as well, regulatory arbitrage. And then if you look at other major asset markets, they're 100 trillion plus, and stuff like the derivative markets are like quadrillion dollars. So the UK is looking at this thinking, okay, we need a relevancy in this world. We lost most of it because of our divorce from Europe and then having to renegotiate trade agreements with every country in the world because we didn't have the European agreements, all of this, and also the loss of manufacturing in the UK and the loss of the financial industry. So here is the UK's gift, and the UK have taken it. The last 2 or 3 governments have said, we want to embrace crypto. And they're setting up their stall for very sensible regulations. One of the key ones is stablecoins. They say we want to be the center of stablecoins. Why? Stablecoins are just tokenized Eurodollars. Once you understand that, you understand how big stablecoins are. It's the Eurodollar system, but for individuals, because you can tokenize it. So it gives anybody access to dollars, whether you're in the Philippines, whether you're in India, or whether you're in the US. So it's a really, really interesting opportunity for them. And to be honest, they've done it before. And so I think the crypto industry is easy to move to the UK. So if the US screws this up, Coinbase will, sure, be a US listed company, but its main operations will be in the UK. Same for many of these businesses. And I think that's very, very interesting. Germany's already doing a good job with regulation. Switzerland's done a great job with regulation. France is trying to do a good job with regulation. France is pioneering Web3 via LVMH. Bernard Arnault is the richest man in the world. Louis Vuitton Moet Hennessy is one of the biggest companies in the world. That's a fashion luxury goods. They've embraced Web3. All the Arnault kind of siblings are all involved. The kids, they're all involved in Web3. And I think we will see more of the fashion brands and more of the industry based out of that. Ledger itself is based in Paris. So interesting to see Europe getting its toehold in there. Switzerland has a big toehold in the industry. Singapore, as you know from Real Vision, is building out, and Hong Kong has come back into the fray, and they're allowing encouraging crypto banking and encouraging businesses to come back. So here we are in a world that looks a lot like the world that I knew in finance when I grew up, which was London at the epicenter, Germany is a regional center, Switzerland is a regional center, the 2 eastern centers of Hong Kong and Singapore. Tokyo's missing from this equation because Tokyo's been less internationalized in recent years. But anyway, super interesting. So that's what I think is happening. Now, the US can save themselves if they just get out of their own way. And that requires removing Gary Gensler, which I know a lot of people want to do, including a lot of people in the government in the United States. Let's see what happens. But this is the problem when you run the world's most powerful, richest country with a bunch of baby boomers who just want to protect what they've got. Don't give me change, please, because I just want to live out my retirement. Well, the hard job is to be somebody who makes decisions about the future, not about the past. And right now, the US is making a lot of decisions about the past, when in fact, these people were global innovators, and the US was the innovation economy of the world, and they need to be very careful in how they deal with this. It's the same with AI. If they screw that one up, sure, there needs to be regulation of AI. If they get overly tight, it'll move. The Europeans are scared of it, so I don't know where that moves to. But again, the UK's around the corner. There's a few other countries who are very interested in that particular opportunity.